welcome to CMX Summit 2020. Today we're going to talk about building the influence bridge between community and the product. We have here Alex Pisani, and we know that Salesforce platform has always been the heartbeat of our Trailblazer community. So we are going to learn about how they have built and maintained an incredible influence bridge that gives the community direct opportunities to impact their product roadmap and also advocate within the community as they innovate. So get a framework for how community managers can engage with their product organizations to ensure they listen, act on, and value community feedback, and as well as how to listen at scale and empower product advocates. So without further ado, let's welcome Alex on the stage.
Thank you so much. Can you see my presentation in full screen?
Not the full view.
No. What are you seeing now?
The screen of your computer, and we have two tabs open.
Interesting.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay. Okay, 1 second, everyone. Thank you for being patient. I know we've had some tech issues here today. So, Marliz, what are you seeing now?
It's the same.
So, do you see my presentation now?
Not yet. I'm seeing two tabs right now. So maybe you shared the screen of your computer. Do you have an option to share just the slide?
Perhaps. I'm working on it now.
Sure. All right. For those who are waiting, thank you. Welcome to our session today. If you can see the chat on your screen, let us know where you are watching from. And if not, that's okay. Thank you for patiently waiting. And hopefully you're able to visit the photo booths as well. And also you can win an AirPod if you are visiting 5 booths and take a virtual photo of yours, then add the stickers of those sponsors that you have visited. Okay, so it's still the same. Alex?
Yeah, this was working earlier. So I'll present how about now?
Almost.
Or do you?
It's loading. I think we're getting there.
Okay. Thank you for your patience, everyone. How about now? Are we good to go?
Yeah, you're good to go. Thank you.
Okay, cool. All right. Wow. What a start. Thank you, everyone, for being so patient. My name's Alex Pisani. I'm a senior community manager on the Trailblazer community team. I'm really thrilled to be here. It has been a career goal of mine to take the CMX stage. So I'm quite honored and I'm humbled and I'm so proud to be chatting with you all today. I appreciate your time. It's truly special to be a part of the biggest, largest gathering of community professionals in the world. So thank you. Thank you for attending and being a part of this industry. And thank you to CMX, to Bevy, and to all of our CMX Summit sponsors. We couldn't do it without you. Yeah, it's great to be here, and CMX is incredibly special. So I remember attending my first CMX Summit 4 years ago at the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco. There was a few hundred of us. I was new to Salesforce and beginning to realize that community was the space where I wanted to spend my career. So fast forward to 2020, right here, right now, and after attending a few straight summits, I'm speaking on it right now. After some tech issues, it is absolutely surreal, and I know we only have a short amount of time, so I'm going to stop going down memory lane and get on with it. So today I'll be sharing with you how I got started in my specialized community role, which is connecting product to community and community to product. So I'll dive into some of the specific programs that I support and also the ones that I've built in my time at Salesforce. And my favorite part, which is built especially for you, for CMX, and for this session specifically, is a framework that you can take back to your organization and your community so you can get started building your own bridge between product and community, which is the title of this session. So I won't go into the full history of community at Salesforce because I would be here all day. And I know no one wants that. There's a lot of other good speakers going on out there. So I'll be on this slide briefly. And it's at Salesforce, this quote here on the screen helps shine light on why community has been so successful. And it's our executive support and belief in the power of community. That's one of the main reasons. And these words here were shared by Brett Taylor, who at the time was our chief product officer, calling the Salesforce community the foundation of our business. These words inspired me, especially in this role of connecting product and community, which I inhabit. And so along with the support of community legends and my former leaders and my mentors, Erica Kuhl and Holly Firestone, who might be out there in the audience today, we all set out on a journey to build a bridge between product and community. And so here we are, and I'm fortunate enough to have this specialized role within community. After years of being more of a generalist, being a young community professional, gaining the skills to be a CM, I was building trust with the community and wearing a ton of hats. I was able to transition to this specialized role and embark on connecting product and community. So it's a role and a specialization that I believe in very deeply. I think it'll be massively important in the community industry moving forward. And so I feel really fortunate and blessed to be on kind of the cutting edge and kind of blazing a trail in this space and hoping to, educate you all and share what I've learned. So I want to take you on that journey with me and on what I've been able to do so you can then build your own bridge between product and community. And so side note, I really like bridges. I don't know much about kind of their engineering or their architecture or how they work. But since I was a little kid, they've always fascinated me, and I am so drawn to them, and I feel like they're such an achievement of humankind. So I think it's really cool to be able to tie this into my presentation. And so I'll be, just spicing up my slides, I'll be showing some pictures of bridges throughout. So that's what the theme is here today. So when I first got into my role a few years back, I knew there was potential here, and I was working with Erica and Holly, and they saw the potential as well. And we all kind of agreed that in the tech space, which is where I have the majority of my experience, the community is ultimately there for one reason, and it's the product. They wouldn't be there otherwise. Yes, I know all the community members, especially at Salesforce, they love the swag, the camaraderie, the togetherness, the gifts, the forums, and I'll always do my best to, be a CM in those spaces as well. But ultimately, the community, they gather around one common purpose, and it's a love for, the product. And so whether that's Salesforce products or the products that your company offers, there's a deep desire to learn more about them and to help improve them. And so at Salesforce, I've noticed that, like most communities, there's novices, there's intermediates, and there's the experts. And all these different groups have different ideas and passions and visions, but they can be so passionate that they might even have their own product roadmaps, or where they think that your product, or for example, Salesforce's product should go. So there's just so much to dive into when you're starting this process. And so when I started to build the bridge between community and product, I felt like there was this gap, and you could see that here as they were building the new Bay Bridge from connecting Oakland and San Francisco. And so I spent some time thinking about it and strategizing, working with my team, and I knew where I had to begin, and I had to listen. listening to the community as CMs, you know all about this, but it's always a good reminder to hear it again, that listening is always a great and core place to begin. And so when I was starting out, I had one-on-ones, I had small focus groups, I had brainstorming sessions. But the listening tool that I found most useful in those early days was to survey, specifically surveying the community. And so I was able to put together a few different surveys based on the different audiences that I was dealing with, but a lot of the core questions remained the same. So they were things like, what products do you want to learn more about? What mediums and formats would be most useful to you? What do you think our team is doing well now? And maybe, you know, where are we lacking? So getting back all this data, both quantitative and qualitative, and also giving me individuals in the community who filled out the survey that I could contact for follow-up for deeper dives. Those folks acted almost as like consultants for future projects. And one of the best parts is that the work that I would be doing would be benefiting these individuals who filled out this survey. And so I was able to connect with them along the way to get kind of a deeper dive into, you know, how they answered the survey and what they were looking for. And so while I'm going through the exercise and engaging this community, I also knew how important it was for me to connect with and network with our product executives and our product managers. And so there's definitely a lot of time and effort that needs to go into building these relationships, but I would recommend to you all, and from my own experience, it paid off big time. So I was able to find some channels to reach out to product executives, to share my vision, and to kind of network internally to find the product managers for the products and features that were core to Salesforce's product portfolio. And so that was a very useful tactic early on to just kind of get a lay of the land and engage with the PMs that I wanted to engage with on future initiatives. And so finally here, as I approached bridge building and some of the things that I did, and I'm going to come back to this later, is sales, and it's sell, sell, sell. I'm not a salesman at all. I have no interest in being one. I prefer the community space, but I knew I had to put my sales hat on. I knew I had to be my own biggest advocate and our community's biggest advocate to sell the vision, sell the benefits to the product teams and the PMs I was chatting with, sell the value. And so as a one-person team focused on this, I often have had to be my own marketer, my own program manager, and definitely kind of my own salesperson. So another aspect of my approach that I like to highlight is a methodology that's built into the Salesforce culture, and it's called the V2MOM. It's a great way to organize yourself. If you haven't heard of it, it's a great way to establish your goals and ensure you're kind of aligned with what your company is going towards in their success. So in going through this exercise of, if you're interested in building your own bridge between product and community, I'd encourage you to all look at this V2MOM methodology, and I'll touch on it a little bit later as well. But it's a great way to remain focused over, you know, a long period of time. At Salesforce, we typically do it over 1-year periods. And it can really just make sure that you are really focused on kind of, you know, one core question. It's how can what I am doing help my organization achieve its goals? So now I want to kind of transition into what I was able to work on and some of the specific programs and projects that I support now at Salesforce, and also ones that I have launched in my time at Salesforce focused on this. And so let's start with 2 programs that existed before I even came on board at Salesforce. And the first is our IdeaExchange. So IdeaExchange is built directly into our online community. It allows our community members to shape Salesforce product roadmaps, and also 3 times a year our product releases. So this is just a great example of community-driven product feedback, and it's definitely at scale. So after about a decade of valuable feedback in 2019, the IdeaExchange was revamped. So now Salesforce community members, before they could kind of just vote on as many things as they wanted to, but now community members get coins, which they are able to spend on which features or ideas they want implemented by our product teams. So this allows for a more strategic approach from the community as to how our product team should spend their resources. So this is a rather large undertaking, but if it's something that you could take into your organization, whether on a large scale like Salesforce has done, or even on a small scale, it's a great way and an avenue for kind of this radical transparency and engagement between product and community. Next, I'll chat about True to the Core. And so True to the Core is the name of a session that took place at Dreamforce, which is Salesforce's annual conference. And so this began many years ago. And so the whole idea of this session was for the community to have a chance to directly engage with our product leadership and our co-founders, Mark Benioff and Parker Harris, to ensure that they stayed true to Salesforce's core technology, even as Salesforce continued to develop and acquire a bunch of other companies and technologies and went off into other industries. So they wanted to show the Salesforce community that they were true to the core. And so this was always a super popular and anticipated session at Dreamforce. And so earlier this year, I helped bring this session to life in a monthly format live, allowing our community to have kind of this exposure between our product leadership and themselves. So the community could ask, the tough questions, not just once a year at Dreamforce, but 12 times a year, if not more. It's been really popular, so we're kind of ramping it up now. So that's been a big success as well. Next, can't mention our community and bringing community and product together without talking about our collaboration groups. As you can see on the slide here, we have over 1,000 collaboration groups, and a lot of these groups are focused on bringing together community and product. And so I'm not going to spend too much time here. I know we're already started late, so it's a fairly common concept, but I really just wanted to bring it up is, something as simple as a group where product and community can engage, chat, just be in the same place. It's a really powerful tool in your arsenal. Oops. So next, a few initiatives that I launched myself. This one is called Salesforce MVPs Meet the Makers. And so for those of you that have not heard of the Salesforce MVP program, Salesforce recognizes community members with the award of MVP once a year. And this award is given to the lifelong learners, the Trailblazers who are experts in the product and do so much to give back to the community. They basically help other community members help blaze their own trails in the Salesforce ecosystem, and we award them with the title of Salesforce MVP. One of the perks of being an MVP is our team, community team, provides MVP special access to the MVPs, to our product leadership and our PMs. And so we have the MVP sign an NDA. This allows an extra level of transparency from our product teams when engaging with the MVPs. And so I was really thinking about this about a year and a half ago and, wanting to utilize this NDA even further. And so I launched a program called Meet the Makers. It happens right now about twice a month, where I do my best to connect Salesforce product managers with our MVPs. And so the idea of the series is the PMs share the roadmap of their products and the features and products that they're building right now, a view into the product that most general community members don't see, and that's why the NDA and these MVPs are is so special here. This special access allows the MVPs to kind of use their product expertise and allows them to share their critical feedback and really feel like they're being a part of the product building experience and the shaping of the product roadmap. It's been really successful, and I'm really quite proud of this program. The last topic I'll highlight here is things like pilots and betas and one-on-one feedback sessions. And so here on the screen, a little plug for Salesforce. I've been keeping myself organized. Shout out to my team members for helping out with this. Adding any of the things that I'm doing that I'm working on as campaigns in our instance to be able to track it. And so I have continued to network internally, and throughout that I've been able to kind of work with PMs, whether it's on one-off instances or short-term initiatives or even long-term. But basically any way that I can find to bring community early access to product. And so that could come in the form of pilots or betas. And so the one thing that I'm really just focused on is getting direct community engagement and finding any opportunity to get PMs and community members in the same space in a way that can be measured And it's just such an amazing experience for the community. They get so excited to be so close to the product, and it really creates kind of a bond and a feeling of investment on both sides. So here, I'll just touch on this briefly. I love data. We all love data. As it relates to my role and what we're talking about here today, I just want to highlight that first number, that 93%. And so 93% of Trailblazer community members surveyed said that when they engaged with the Trailblazer community, it helped them discover new products and solutions. And so this is always just a piece of data that I happily share with our product team when I kind of am pitching the value of what I'm doing and what I'm trying to do and how they can engage with the community. So I know I'm flying through this. It feels like I'm flying through it. So hopefully I'm not going too quickly, but I do want to transition now to this framework that I put together today here at CMX Summit. And one of the reasons that I put this together and what I thought would be really cool is, you know, when your manager asks you tomorrow, like, hey, how did CMX Summit go? What did you learn? You can tell them how great it was, and, you know, you learned a ton, and that you gained a bunch of actionable insights. And one of them, you know, was a specific framework on how to connect your product organization with your community. So how cool is that? Your manager will think you're super smart and brilliant and hopefully give you a raise and a promotion, all because you attended this session. So I'd encourage you to get your notepads out and you can take some notes here. So this is my first time here speaking at CMX. And so as another first, this is my first time I've documented and shared my own framework. And so I was kind of thinking about, you know, I wanted to share a framework with you all, and I was trying to think about like how to do that and what would be in it and what would it be called. And so if you know me, I have this massive ego. And so it's probably influenced by being a fan of Kanye West since high school, although a little bit less these days. So, but I decided to name the framework after myself because, you know what, why not? And it kind of fit in with the themes and values that I wanted to share with you all. And so some friends of mine and some teammates at Salesforce, they call me Lex. So I present to you the LEXr framework. Let's focus on the Lex because R is just, you know, we're just repeating it. And it's listen, evaluate, execute, and repeat. So I'm going to provide you with 3 tangible actions that you can take kind of within each of the listen, evaluate, and execute. So you can have a total of 9 actions that you can take, you know, starting today, starting tomorrow. So yeah, take out your notepad and or your Google Doc or however you take notes, and let's dive in. So the first step in the framework is to listen. I mentioned this earlier. When I first approached how I could connect our product organization to our community, I took a step back, and I encourage you to do the same and to listen. So for this framework, and you know, I follow these principles kind of at a high level and do what's best for your unique situation and your community and your product organization. But I think that regardless, you know, these steps will apply to almost any situation. So the first I would say would be to build and distribute your surveys as a listening mechanism. So 2 separate ways to begin, one of which can be surveying your internal product managers. Here, you can learn what pain points PMs are experiencing in terms of getting customer and community feedback, and also maybe what products and features will be especially prominent and other areas that you can focus on. I'd also recommend building and sending a survey to your community. You know, it could be for your whole community to participate in if it's a smaller community, or if you have a larger one, maybe you have a subset, perhaps your super users or a certain persona. Hearing directly from your community, it's going to be key to figuring out what you should prioritize. So you can learn, you know, what formats do they like? What products are they most interested in learning more about? And this is just such a great way to hear directly from your community. And so that's a great first step. And so kind of touched upon all this earlier, things that I did, and I just want to pass that on and reiterate to you. And so along with sending along a survey to your PMs, I'd recommend networking with them as well. During COVID, when we're all not in the office, I just recommend, you know, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, setting up video chats or calls with PMs and product leaders in your organizations. Perhaps start by reaching out to them via email, describing a bit about what your role is, and seeing if they have, you know, 10 minutes, 20 minutes to chat, however long they have. Just try and see if you can take advantage of their time to build your internal network, kind of get the word out about what you are trying to achieve. And then you'd also just be amazed how many PMs would be open to this conversation and excited about how they can engage more with your community. And so finally, I touched on this earlier, and it's the sell, sell, sell. When you schedule those conversations, just be sure it's not a one-way conversation. I know this is the listen part of the framework, but you need to be able to sell the power of the community as you're listening. And so please feel free to use any data points or success stories that you have to show the value of what you've been able to work on. And this will be the thing that sticks with the PMs and make them especially eager to work with you. So I know we're running out of time, so I'll try and speed things up. I think this is the most crucial aspect of the framework. You have a vision of what you'd like to achieve, of how you can bring your product and community closer together. So I think, what's next after you have all of this data, it's time to evaluate it. So after you've deeply listened to your product organization, you got to unpack the data and kind of identify the themes to evaluate your short and medium and long-term goals. And so as you do evaluate these themes and goals, think about how you work towards them, and it can be quite daunting and overwhelming. Some of the themes, they may have massive programs that you'll need to build, or you need to set up some infrastructure first before you can even get started. And so in this situation, I'd again step back and offer a friendly piece of advice here. It's to at times follow the path of least resistance. And so in other words, maybe get a quick victory. This will do wonders for your morale, show your leadership the value of the work you're doing, and really get you some momentum. Finally, here for the evaluation period, I just encourage you to come up with your own V2MOM, write it all down. What are your vision and values? How are you going to measure the success of what you've been doing? And if anyone has any questions or follow up about the V2MOM, I'd be happy to kind of follow up with you after that. You can also Google it, and there's plenty of information out there for you. And so the last step in the framework is to execute. And as many CMs we're one-person teams a lot of the times, and you're going to be doing a lot of this framework yourself, including the execution. But it's exciting, and you've put so much time into listening, into evaluating, and putting all this together. And then it's launch day, whatever it might be. It's an important and special day, and you should celebrate it. So whether it's the start of a webinar series, or a listening tour, or a portal that connects community members and product, it's really exciting. And so as you launch your programs, just make sure you're measuring your work. I'd be happy to dive deeper on measurement tactics, but can't dive into all that today. But a lot of the times community is not revenue generating, and so CMs need to show the value of our work and the impact we make. So measure your programs early and often, and be sure to share that data out when you have it. And then finally, I just recommend closing the loop. This is such an important part. So, the PMs that you're working with, they've gathered feedback maybe from a connection you've put them on with some community members. Ensure that the PMs and you work with them closely to have, a plan to evaluate the feedback and take action on it. And then be sure you follow up with them so you can know the impact that was made, and then bring that impact back to the community members who participated. So everyone, all parties involved, both you, your leadership, the PMs, and the community members involved, all see the value of the time and effort that was put in. So that's the framework. One more step, we need to repeat it. Our work is never done, and so you'll need to start the framework over again occasionally to get fresh insights from your community. When you're listening to them, you'll want to evaluate these new themes and prioritize, and then finally launch exciting new initiatives. And so that's my LEXr framework. And so I know we're running out of time here, so please feel free to connect with me. I'm on CMX Hub, LinkedIn. I'm taking a break from Twitter, but I'll be back one day, and you can also reach out to me via email. Finally, keep learning with us. I think Jessica is probably kicking off right now, so I'll defer to her and try and wrap this up pretty quickly. But we also have a bunch of my teammates talking later today, and Leah tomorrow, and there's just so much to learn from these brilliant individuals, the best team in the business, and I feel so fortunate to work with all of them today. And so with that, Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. This is so cool, and appreciate you sticking with me through those tech issues at the beginning.
All right, that was wonderful, Alex. Thank you for your sharing your framework named after you, LEXr. That was amazing. And yes, if you have guys questions to Alex, feel free to reach out to him with Twitter and emails. So we're going to head over to our next speaker. And thank you again, Alex, for your time, sharing your time. I know you have a busy schedule, but still you were able to meet some time with our CMXers. So thank you again, and we appreciate you for today. Thank you.
Thank you.